r/AskReddit. Redditors with noisy neighbors. What's the most interesting thing you've overheard? Not weird but amazing. My upstairs neighbor was a jazz musician. One of my jobs had me work odd hours, so I slept late. He would apologize for practicing at 10 AM. Waking up to the sounds of a world-renowned trumpet player is not a bad start to the day. I would see him coming up the street as we both were returning from business trips. Me, oh hey, where are you coming from? Him, Amsterdam, but before that Helsinki and Malta. And a quick stop in Madrid. You, Danbury. It's like Helsinki, but in Connecticut. And terrible. Two neighbors going at it like rabbits. The female participant was especially loud. It was the middle of a humid summer and we live in a place where almost nobody has a count in their house, so everyone in the neighborhood probably had their windows open. Finally we hear another disgruntled neighbor scream from another house, "Oh for fuck's sake, just shove it in her mouth and shut her up." Living in a rough/boggen area of Australia, if there is such a thing, I overheard, "Mum, is the toilet working again?" "Nah mate, just go into the backyard, but I don't want to piss on the tree again." "What? You think you're too good for the tree?" This went on for 10 minutes. Dude ended up pissing on a tree. There's a particular type of person who seems to feel like they're the only thing standing between society and complete collapse, and about 5 years ago, my downstairs neighbor was one of them. She was aloof and paranoid, and she'd imagine threats from almost everywhere, which made the fact that she thought of herself as some kind of secret agent all the more annoying. Said neighbor was always trying to find ways of getting me and anyone else whom she thought of as suspicious to move out of the building. She'd stage loud telephone calls with headquarters about the alarming behavior of the other tenants, like my tendency to get home after 9 in the evening, which was clearly scandalous, and frequently yell at the people who'd stand on the corner to smoke. On one occasion, I heard her shouting at someone over the placement of a flower pot in their window, which was obviously an indication that they were selling drugs. Then, one afternoon, I found a letter from the FBI taped to a wall in the stairwell. It was perhaps the most ridiculous attempt at an official document that I'd ever seen, and I'm including the time that my friend Jonathan, then 9 years old, made a flyer for bodyguard services. The atrocious grammar, poorly photoshopped seal, and distinct absence of any legitimate contact information made the notice about as realistic as a scene from N's. Furthermore, the reference to the past 2 years seemed to indicate me as her primary target, since I was, as far as I knew, the only resident who had been there for less time than that. Still, since the notice was clearly meant to scare someone, I decided to return the favor by taking a page out of my neighbor's own playbook and standing outside of her apartment while staging my own fake phone call. "You should see the notice. It's terrible." Yeah, it's like they didn't know that impersonating a federal official is a felony. Anyway, the real FBI are on their way, and they are going to dust for fingerprints. Whoever made that notice is looking at a lot of jail time. I went back inside my apartment after that, and within seconds, I heard my neighbor's door open. There was the sound of hurried footsteps rushing towards the stairwell, followed by an equally hurried retreat. When I went out to check 5 minutes later, the notice was gone. I've since moved away from that location, but for the rest of the time that I lived there, the lady never bothered me again. Had a couple that moved in next door. Good couple, talked a few times. They had been together for 6 years, both worked odd hours. I shared a wall with their bedroom and mine. First 4 weeks, it was just constant sex between 7 PM to 2 AM, every Wednesday night. Finally, I decided to say something about it because the screaming and moaning was disrupting my sleep schedule. It's all fun, except when she's screaming so loud that it overcomes my TV's volume in the living room. So I stopped the guy on Friday and told him that sex is all fun and games, but he needs to keep his woman quiet after 11 PM, especially on Wednesday during the middle of the week. It's apartment rules and shit. The guy looks at me and says I work night shifts from 6 PM to 6 AM Wednesdays. 2 weeks later they moved out, separately. We lived above a woman who would sing at a few bars around town. One night I came home from work, around 2 AM, and thought I could hear her having a party. She would often have friends over and just perform for them. Anyway, I opened the window because it was a warm night and I could hear obvious sex noises and her voice. "Yeah, fuck that pussy." Followed by obedient grunts. Naturally I woke my wife up because this was hilarious. We got back to the window and heard a guy's voice. "Oh yeah, I just came," followed by another man's voice. "You sure did, buddy." This was followed by a second female's voice. "My turn to get fucked anyway." There's nothing erotic about these phrases, uttered in broad Australian accents, so we couldn't even get off to it. She's also a shitty singer. TL. Doctor, I lived above a singer who hosted gangbangs. I know you didn't mean this by the question, but my neighbor at work, a guy I work with a lot, says some interesting things. I've recently started writing them down. On the phone. No, because if we up their commissions then I'll have all the burp reps coming back to me. What? Yes, it was a burp. Noi, I had Chipotle. The 13th of March 2014. Burp that was. That was some, it was kinda gross actually. I should apologize for that. I apologize for that, everyone. The 4th of October 2014. Oop, just farted a little. The 24th of April 2014. Well, Berry, dip me in shit and call me a gingerbread man. That's actually correct. The 29th of April 2014. That's not the right spelling. Not at all. 2 M's. 1 R. F asterisk CK me, you're dumb as a truck. The 22nd of May 2014. On the phone. You want some paper towels? Want some paper towels? Because you've just finished shitting on my dreams. The 23rd of May 2014. What's the smell? It smells like a Cuban hooker around here. The 28th of May 2014. On the phone. You do that for me. No, I don't care about your guys. You can tell your guys to eat shit. Tell back quote M to eat shit. That's right. Big spoonful. I will provide the shit. They can eat it. The 6th of February 2014. On the phone. No, you don't need you anymore. You're dismissed. I'm through with you. The 17th of June 2014. OF asterisk CK me with a pineapple. I'm gonna be here until 7 today. This day is never going to end. The 7th of September 2014. Someone brought cake. Someone brought cake in the break room. Oh my sweet sweet ass, you're about to get a little rounder today. The 18th of July 2014. On the phone. Don't talk to me that way. That sounds gross. That's gross. You're more gay than my dad when we go fishing. The 29th of July 2014. Food is one of my favorite things. The 8th of April 2014. While sitting on my front porch couch drinking a beer. Bitch, come back here. Come back here. No. You hit me. Bitch, I hit you because I love you. I need to move. 2 women who live next door were arguing. I assume. I'm not sure of their relationship because several people live in the house. The older woman walked into the backyard, lit a cigarette, and started screaming into the house. That's fucking witchcraft. Witchcraft. Fucking witchcraft. I heard an indistinct voice from inside. The smoker screeched again. It's witchcraft. About 2 minutes later I heard the shower turn on and the other lady started singing the damn song from Frozen in a rather pretty voice. Witchcraft. Now is my time to shine. A few years ago, I moved into my brand new home. I left the windows open one late September/early October evening, so I could cool the house down/sleep with a breeze. That's when I was awoken to the sounds of my neighbors fucking, with their bedroom windows open. Okay, no big deal. There were only 2 or 3 neighbors' houses within earshot of my new construction, so it was easy to figure out who it was and where it was coming from. I'd like to say it was my sexy neighbor that likes to sunbathe on her balcony, but alas, it was the obese couple that lived next door. After they had been going at it for over an hour, I heard one of them yell, "Ow, ow, stop, stop, pancakes." Turns out, my obese neighbors used pancakes as their safe word. My mom and I live on the 5th floor of an apartment building, and she sometimes has to work really late. Well, the elevator happened to be broken, so she had to take the stairs. Mind you, these walls are thinner than paper. We hear everything. So around the 3rd floor, she hears someone shouting yeah, take it up the ass. There was various banging noises and moaning along with it. She got to our apartment and was laughing so hard she was crying. One of my friends had a housemate with a rather interesting routine that we could all overhear, and he had, as far as I know, absolutely no idea that anyone else was aware of it. Every evening, like clockwork, he'd go through the same lines and actions, almost as though he was following a particularly bizarre script of some kind. This young man's first step, at least from what could be heard, would be to close a door to his room and then address some imaginary woman who had apparently sneaked inside when he wasn't looking. "Well, what are you doing here?" he'd say, his voice audible through the wall. Oh, really? Well, I guess I'd better take my pants off. Then, a few seconds would pass, after which he would speak again. "So, how about you get naked, too? I'll just lay here and wait for you to be ready." "Oh, you're ready now? Well, go ahead and climb on top of me, then." It would be several minutes before anything else would become audible. But then the next part of his routine would begin. Anyone within earshot would hear the guy's bedroom door open and then slam, after which he'd sprint down the hallway to the bathroom and slam that door. He'd be in there for a few minutes, the toilet would flush, and then we'd all be treated to a second performance of him slamming the door, running down the hall, and locking himself in his bedroom. So, in short order, his routine went like this. Click. "Oh, look, a sneaky woman. Now we are both naked." Silence. Slam. Rapid footsteps. Slam. Silence. Toilet flushing. Slam. More rapid footsteps. Slam. From what I've heard, he'd do this every night. At one point, someone suggested that he might have been talking to a webcam model or something, so they accidentally reset the router after hearing the guy's door close. But he went right through the same routine, talking to someone who wasn't there, before beating a hasty retreat to the bathroom. Screaming. Like violent, ridiculous "I'm beating my spouse" screaming, "You fucker. I'll fucking kill you. You stupid piece of shit." This went on for 10 full minutes. My whole family was on the back deck listening by the end, ready to call the cops. We thought this guy was going to fucking murder his wife and kids. Then we hear fucking spiders. Oh, someone really hated spiders, I guess. Enough to alarm the entire neighborhood. It's not really interesting but sad. Guy that lives across the side street from us spends his nights in front of his house working on his 80s Mustang. It's really souped up and super fucking loud. It's annoying, but our fault for not recognizing that before buying the house. He's out there for hours, then goes inside and just yells at his kids non-stop. All you can hear is him yelling and them crying. Bonus douche points. I was having trouble with an old lawn mower that was smoking the oil. I ran it for a few minutes to see if I had just spilled oil or if there was something more serious wrong. He came over and told me to shut it off because it was annoying him inside his house. The nerdiest moment in our mid-terrace, where we hear everything. I'm about to turn on the TV just to see what's on during a boring Saturday afternoon. I go into the living room and I hear my neighbor's TV. I think that sounds like the theme from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I turn on the TV. Yes, it is Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Afternoon saved. Thanks, neighbors. I lived in a not great neighborhood in college, but there were a lot of families around. We shared a fence with a family with a few boys, all seemingly spaced out in age. One time, the oldest kid was playing basketball with the middle kid, and he yelled at this little kid, "Why are you so bad at basketball?" To which the younger kid responded, with gusto, "I'm 8. I about fell out of my chair." My neighbor is a 500-pound, wheelchair-bound, drug-dealing, gay man who acts like he's the head of some fucking mafia and has 4 accents. Oh, and he lives on his porch in the summer. If I have to hear about him having sex with one more underage boy or walk out to get the mail and see him sucking some dude off one more time, the cops refuse to do anything about him, even though he has like 3 felonies and continues to operate a drug house. I have never thought someone deserved to die more than that sack of shit. So I spend a lot of time on my balcony in the summer, and in a previous apartment building, I had the pleasure of overhearing my upstairs neighbors, a couple, constantly fighting. Sometimes the name calling and accusations were so bad I could not understand how they could ever even look at each other ever again, let alone live together. I was friendly with the super who lived there as well and mentioned this couple to her. She explains that she has called the cops a few times for domestic abuse, but even though they were both covered in scratches and bruises, neither admit issues to the police. But I figure I'll still halfway listen with the hope that, if physical violence happens again, maybe the cops can separate them this time around. One evening I hear some odd sounds that appear to be coming only from her. She's clearly uncomfortable and it quickly escalates to a distressed scream. As I reach for the phone she screams out yes. He responds with shut up bitch. Remember, you're not supposed to like it. She giggles and apologizes and that's when I realize they are into a bit of roller play. Note taken. About a week later, I hear some similar sounds and half listen in the off chance he is physically abusing her without her consent. This goes on for some time, and then she starts saying ow, that hurts and that sort of thing, but without the clearly repressed sounds of enjoyment I learned the previous week. I decided to grab my phone when she screamed, stop it some random word. I assumed a Safi word, and he kept on going despite her protests. Just as I was about to press send I hear a loud thump, and what sounds like a pretty intense wrestling match. Then he yells you fucking see *NT and a long string of curse words, some I had to Google later. Her response, you think that hurt? I only used a finger. Don't ever try to put that in there again. I was cutting down some plants on my front yard and my neighbors began to talk really loudly. But it was so good. I don't care how good it felt. You can't put your dick in the Nutella and let me eat the Nutella. You enjoyed it though, didn't you? I didn't enjoy the ginger pubic hair in it. I'll go out and buy you some more Nutella then. Fine. Don't jizz in that jar though. I live by a river in a valley. It's a small river and a small valley, maybe a half a mile wide at most. So I walk outside last night and I can hear at least 2 people fucking echoing down the valley. I have no idea what direction they were in, but since my closest neighbors are a mile away down the valley with almost all that distance covered in dense forest, they must have been pretty damn loud. Thanks for watching UpGoat Reddit. Try like and subscribe button if it still works.